right. Let's see, recording. Okay, we'll get started. All right. So when I came in, just a refresher, you guys saw I washed my hands. I am going to use a cut glove today. This one is Jaylee's from fourth period. I'm going to steal hers real quick. So cut glove reminder. Everybody always kind of forgets and gets confused. It goes on the opposite hand of the one you cut with, right? Because that's where you're going to cut yourself. So I'm putting it on my left hand. And then to kind of keep the glove clean and keep the food contact surface clean, I'm going to put a latex glove over it. Hopefully this one fits. I always try to choose kind of a smaller one so it's snug on the hand. All right. Okay, so I got my cut glove. So the first thing we're going to do today for the fried rice is set up the mise en place. And I already did a little bit, like I got an egg cracked, I measured my butter. The rice that I have for this recipe, I cooked yesterday. So fried rice is actually best with old rice. You can, like if I just made rice this morning and it was still warm, it's doable, but it can get a little bit gummy. Like the old dry rice just kind of absorbs and fries a little bit better because we are actually going to cook the rice in butter. So we're kind of technically lightly frying it. So this is actually like real crunchy and dry rice that I made yesterday afternoon. And then I've got a few things measured out that I don't have to do anything to, like there's some frozen peas I'm going to throw in at the end. And then I measured a few of the seasonings. This is soy sauce. And then it's also this stuff called oyster sauce, which is a little funky, right? It does contain, this is what it says, okay? It contains oyster extractives, oyster water and salt. It really doesn't taste like oysters. I mean, it doesn't taste like seafood. It's just very sweet, super thick. It's like thicker than pancake syrup and it's sweet. It doesn't really add a very seafoody flavor, but it does have some oyster in it. So if I had anybody that knew they were allergic to shrimp or something like that, I would definitely say to leave this out. I think everybody in this room's okay, right? All right. But if you had an allergy, it's optional. There's also another sauce in Asian cooking that's thick and sweet. It's called hoisin. That one you could probably substitute for if it didn't have any seafood in it. Okay. So we'll get started and kind of set up a few things and then start making our rice. For those of you at home, this is a question I just asked in the room. Where do you guys like to get Chinese takeout food? Like what's your favorite place? Is there a place in Lake Wales or Winter Haven that you like to go?
Sakuras.
Where?
The Sakuras in Winter Haven.
Oh, yeah. Okay, nice. I haven't been there in a long time. Navi just said the Sakura in Winter Haven. You know, the across from Carrabba's down there. Good. Where else? We were saying in here Hibachi, the Hibachi Express, Lake Wales, and there's one in Winter Haven too. All right, I'm going to start with the carrot. And so in class, we're going to do a couple of carrots today. The first thing I'll do is peel it. In some recipes, I don't even peel carrots, I just wash them, but I will for this one. And I got kind of a trash bowl for myself. So I'm just going to peel it real quick. And then I'll show you how we can cut it for the fried rice. All right. Okay. There we go. Okay. So for my carrot, what I want to do is trim a little bit off of both ends just so it's clean, right? There's nothing there. So you just watched Jamie Oliver. I love that video because he shows you a couple different things. How to slice straight up and down, how to rock, and then how to do that cross chop where you keep your hands out of the way, which is really good for like herbs and garlic. So we'll do that today when we do the garlic. But for this one, I'm just going to kind of clip off both ends and then get started. Where it's really skinny on the carrot, I'll probably just cut slices until it starts to get a little bit fatter. When it's almost like as fat as my finger, I'm going to probably stop and start cutting it in half so that I get smaller pieces. The carrot takes a long time to cook, and I don't want it to be like hard by the time I've cooked all my other stuff and my fried rice. I want it to soften up, so I'm going to cut it kind of small. Okay. Excuse me. So when I want to get, I'm going to actually go ahead and cut my carrot about there. when I want to get really close to something and cut kind of thin slices, I just try to keep my fingers as close as I can and really use my knuckle as a guide. Like if the knife is touching my knuckle, it's not going to cut my fingers. And that's what I do anytime I'm trying to slice thinly, is try to just keep my hand like that. Okay. So I'm just slicing. I might be able to get my thumb behind it. There we go. Little rounds is good. This is also how I like to do carrots for soup. I like them to be thin rounds. Sometimes for salad, although a lot of times when I make salad, I prefer to put it on like a cheese grater, just kind of grate it real thick. All right, so I got to a point where like I can't hold that very well anymore. It's so little. So what you can do is kind of like Jamie tells you in that video, right? It's so wobbly right now, I can't really put my fingers on it without it flipping, and my gloves are baggy and annoying, right? So I'm just gonna turn it on its flat side and nobody will be the wiser, okay? So then I'm gonna just kind of turn it again so that I can handle it, do the best I can with it, okay? All right, I got it again. Ooh. Okay, so where the carrot's a little bit fatter, all I'm gonna do right here is start by cutting it in half and seeing kind of how that looks. So cutting it in half long ways. With a carrot, the best way, there's really not a way for me except just kind of pinching it so that it doesn't roll and making sure my fingers are out of the way. Like I know that's not something you're ever gonna see in a video, right? But just kind of cut it in half like that. That's probably good. I might actually cut it again. Just make it a little bit smaller. Like I was gonna cut up carrots to snack on or dip in hummus or something like that, okay? All right. So I'll just continue to cut them kind of small so they'll cook more quickly. And when I'm looking at it, it kind of looks like a lot of carrot for the amount of rice I'm gonna make. That's okay. All right, I'll grab a bowl. So in the recipe, it tells me that the carrot and onion are gonna cook together. I'll put them both in the same bowl. The thing I really like about fried rice, we make this at my house every couple weeks, is because I like it because I can put whatever I want in it, like whatever I have, whatever vegetables we like, or whatever's like in the back of the fridge and needs to be used up. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut some zucchini. This is not in the recipe, but I really like when I go to hibachi and I get the just traditional hibachi, like chicken or steak with veggies. I really like that they put a bunch of zucchini in it. To me, it just tastes good. It gets kind of soft. So I'm gonna add that to my fried rice. So a zucchini is a squash, right? You know the yellow squash that kind of looks like this? Same general shape, a little bit more crooked. Very similar to that and a really similar flavor. To me, zucchini doesn't taste like much. Some people I know think it's kind of gross, but it's pretty mild. So I've already washed it. You don't have to peel a zucchini. I'm just gonna cut the tip off. And then I'm not gonna use a whole ton of this. I'm probably gonna use maybe a third of it for my fried rice, and I'll put that back. For this one, what I'm gonna try to do here is cut a couple of slices, and then I don't know if I wanna cut it into cubes or like longer, not quite a bâtonnet, but like a longer stick. Let's see. Yeah, I think I wanna do a little longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut down the length of it, and then maybe in thirds, like that. Yeah, I like that size piece. Okay. So I'll put that in there. I'll probably go ahead and cook that. Now I did make it bigger than the carrot. Typically when you're cooking vegetables, you want them to be the same size, but I know that carrot is so much harder and starchier and denser. It's gonna take a while for that to soften. And this is a very watery vegetable. It doesn't have to cook as long. So I'm thinking it's gonna balance out okay, the time frame there. So let me go ahead and cut this one. And then let's cut it into thirds, right? Thirds, thirds, middle. And this one. Oh, my gloves. Okay. All right, I've got a little bit of zucchini in there. And then I need some onion to go in at the same time. So This is just a sweet onion, kind of also called a yellow onion. I'm gonna go ahead. Now, when you guys, I had you watch that video last week with Jacques Pepin. The way he cut an onion is not the way I cut an onion. He was really good at it, and that's totally fine. Like, you are welcome to use his technique, but I like to keep the root on because for me, it helps it not to fall apart. So I never really cut the root off until I'm done. But I am gonna go ahead and cut this onion in half one time. Okay. And then I'm gonna turn it on its flat side and trim off a little bit of the, this would be the stem part. I'm gonna leave the root alone. Sometimes the root's really long and kind of gross and I'll trim it, but I don't really ever get rid of it. At least not if I'm trying to do a little small dice. Okay. So I'm gonna share this with you guys. Does anybody really hate onion? I can do a light amount. Everybody's okay? You're all right with a little bit of onion? You don't like it? You do? Oh, you don't like it? Wasn't that interesting though? I think it was the video last week where he was talking about the sharpness of your knife, right? Like, can affect how much that onion's in your eyes. Now, I don't know. I just peeled this. I really haven't cut it except once, and it's pretty potent. I can smell that through my mask. So what I like to do is kind of follow the natural ridges of the onion. There's a bunch of little lines in it. So I just take my knife and I go back towards the root, but I don't ever cut through it or past it. So I want kind of a small dice for this. So I'm just using up here, I'm on the tip of my knife. I'm just kind of gonna go in here and cut along the curve. Now the video with Jacques, right, he did not cut the curve. He just went straight down like that. I prefer to kind of follow the curve of the onion. All right. And then I'll probably cut it one time this way, horizontally, and then let me dice it. Most people don't like big chunks of onion, so I'm going to keep it on the smaller side. Gloves, man. All right, and then when it gets a little bit wobbly, put it on the table, cut what you can. All right, so I got a little bit of onion to throw in here. Can you smell it in here, in this room? No? Okay, lucky you. Super strong. All right, so that's all the veggie that's gonna go in the dish. Carrot, zucchini, onion. But we are gonna add a little bit of garlic too. Okay. So this recipe I scaled down. It was to feed like 4 people, 4 to 6 servings. I just cut it by about a third. I'm gonna start with 1 garlic clove. And then I need to cut some green onion and then we can just make the dish. So if you guys like fried rice, I would encourage you to try it at home. I posted the recipe on Schoology. It's really, really easy. And it's cheap, right? It's just a little bit of rice. I like to add meat to it. Sometimes we'll do shrimp, like just kind of saute the shrimp first, take them out, and then make the fried rice and fold them back in. Or like if you had, maybe you had baked chicken or a rotisserie chicken, you had some leftovers, right? Just take it, kind of chop it up, fold it in there. Or take a raw chicken breast, cut it into small pieces, put whatever seasoning you like, saute it, take it out, make the fried rice, add it back at the end. So it's super easy to add meat and make that like a really full meal. Okay, I've already cut my glove. I'm so frustrated. With the garlic, what I'm gonna do, as much as I can, I'm going to slice, kind of get close. And then once I've gotten it about as small as I can get it, using my fingers and my claw, I'm gonna switch to that cross chop, okay? Where we just sweep it into a pile and then we put our hand on the back and just kind of hack away at it. And that's pretty safe, easy way to cut garlic. And when you're mincing, it doesn't matter that they're exactly the same size or not. It's just, the objective is to get them real small. I have a garlic press that I use at home. This is a total cheating tool, but I like it. It's nice not to have to get out a cutting board if all you need to do is cut up some garlic, like for salad dressing. Okay. Ooh, it's going everywhere. Oh, wow. I can feel that in my eyes too. Holly, what did you tell me the other day was the last thing you made? I called on you, didn't I? Chicken Alfredo. Okay. That sounds so good. Do you make your Alfredo or do you use a jar? Yeah. I made something last week with Alfredo and used the jar. It was pretty good. Okay. All right, so now we've got our dish of garlic. Okay. So I think the only thing left that I would need to cut is going to be my green onions. And the green onions go in kind of at the end because they're really delicate and cook really quickly. They don't need to go at the beginning. So with green onions, I wash them and I kind of clean them. Sometimes it's real, they can be gross at the bottom, or there can be like layers that need to peel off. They just look gross. So with a green onion, I usually lose a lot of it. Like this one's okay. It's a little bit, it's not very crisp, right? It's almost a little bit limp and kind of soggy. So if you have to, with your green onion, just peel off anything that's not, doesn't look super great. Just peel it down. It comes off in a bunch of layers like any other onion. So the good part is the light green, pretty much all the way up to the end of the dark green. You don't really want the white part a whole ton. So you kind of start cutting right there. And then I never cut all the way to the end. I make sure I throw away the very tip because I feel like it's always a little bit wrinkly, maybe not the freshest. Now for me too, like I don't like this little guy. I know it's not gonna be crunchy. These I can feel are kind of crunchy. I'm gonna take him off. Okay. All right. So I just lay these together. I always start at the white end. I don't know why. I watched a video the other day and somebody was cutting these from the green end and I was like, wow, I've never done that in my entire life. It just, I don't know, it was funny. Okay, I'll get rid of those. And then we're just slicing kind of thin slices all the way up the stalk of the green onion. Hello. Grab a stool and kind of spread out, okay? All right. Let's see. I don't actually know if I have the right amount, but we'll go with this. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, I'm gonna throw these in a bowl. And now I think we're ready to go because we've got everything done. So that is our mise en place. Got my extra veggies there. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do when I make fried rice is I'm actually gonna scramble an egg and then take it out. So sometimes, I don't think hibachi has, do they have scrambled egg? It's not always that there's scrambled egg, but it's pretty common. So I'm actually using, I love this pan because it's nonstick, so it's a little bit easier to work with. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my pan. Let me see. Probably good. I think it's about at a medium setting. So all I've got here is a little bowl, one egg, and I'm gonna do a pinch of salt and pepper in here. And then we'll scramble it and cook it in the pan. And go from there. Okay, cook the egg, take it out, do the rest. All right. Better grab a little whisk. So Annalisa, we're making fried rice this morning. You guys are gonna do that in lab on Friday. And today we're gonna do some knife skills after the demo. Practice cutting a piecing. So just kind of a quick scramble of this egg. And then one egg is hard to scramble, right? Have you guys ever done that before? Cook one scrambled egg? It doesn't work that great. Unless you have a little baby pan. It needs a little bit more, a few more eggs to really make them good, but that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna let my pan heat up and then I've got a couple of chunks of butter in here. When I cut it, I just cubed it up. So I'm gonna put a little bit in here to cook my egg. I don't even think I need that much. So let's get that in there and kind of get it melting. And then we'll do our scrambled egg. Okay. And then from there, be ready to go. So this is not in the recipe, but this is one of my very favorite condiments. It's spicy. It's called sambal olik, and you can use it on any Asian food. It's common, like if you ever go to a Vietnamese restaurant or a Thai restaurant. In Winter Haven, right in front of Legoland, there's a place called Saigon Garden. It's next to Tsunami Sushi. They have really good, like Vietnamese. So they have pad Thai, they have pho, you know, the bowls of broth and noodles and all that kind of stuff. And they put this condiment on the table. It's really good to kind of mix it in with whatever if you like heat. So I'm not going to put this in the rice, but it's something I would probably, if I was at home, I would get it out of the fridge, maybe put a spoonful and mix it into my rice so that it got a little bit spicy before I was going to eat it. All right. I think it may need to heat a little bit more. We'll go from there. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So you can scramble your egg any way you wish, of course. I'm gonna let this sit for a minute, and then I'm gonna kind of scramble everything so it gets a little bit of butter in it, and then I'm gonna start pushing it around. Quaisha, what's your favorite way to eat eggs? Scrambled. How about you, Anaya? Over easy? Do you know how to make them? Cook them? I'm not great at it. I like them that way too. What about you, Hector? The scrambled? Yeah. Good. Okay. Just gonna kind of mix it, make sure it gets some melted butter all over it. Okay. Do any of you cook breakfast on the weekend? Not really. No. No? Do you? Oh my goodness. Do you ever make breakfast for dinner? Yeah. Your mom does. Yeah. This is such an easy meal, right? Like you're tired, but you can make breakfast. Okay. And personally, I like my eggs to be a little bit soft scrambled. I don't really like them to get like brown on them or crispy. Kind of gross to me. So I'm gonna scramble them kind of soft and then take them out. They'll cook again, actually, because they're gonna go in at the very end. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty light. But I'm gonna go ahead and take that out. I'm actually gonna just throw it on my cutting board and chop it up a little bit. Okay. And then my pan, it's not bad. I'll just reuse it. Okay, so the first thing to do once you've got your egg cooked and out of the way is to put a little bit more butter down. This recipe was like really adamant about using butter, which seems to me that's probably not something that's very traditional in Chinese food or any Asian food. There's not a ton of butter. They tend to use oil more in those cultures, but the butter is pretty tasty. So, all right, I'm gonna throw down another cube of butter, let it heat up and melt. I'm gonna probably take my heat up a little bit because I want it to be actually cooking and sizzling. Okay. And then we'll do our veggies. Now, when I cook with garlic, like this recipe, I think actually says to throw the garlic in here, but garlic burns really easily and it can get very bitter. So I always save garlic until I'm almost ready for the next step. I don't like to cook it to death because once it does overcook, it can be a little funky and it's like impossible to pick out, right? It's too small. So I'm gonna save that for later. My butter's getting real foamy, so I think it's pretty good. Okay. So let me put all these veggies in here. Oops. All right. Smells good. Okay. So this is pretty good, like for this pan size, where I did cut this recipe down by about a third, and I used this smaller pan. If I was making this for, you know, my family or more than just one or two people, I'd probably want to increase my pan size so I had plenty of room. I want to get the rice in there and everything. Nothing's going to fly out on the counter. All good. For those of you that are at home, can I have a couple suggestions? What other vegetables might be good in the fried rice? What do you think?
Corn.
Mushrooms.
Ooh, okay. I heard corn and mushrooms. Yeah, I think both of those could work for sure. Either one. Yep. What else seems like it would be a natural thing to put in here? I'm trying to think. Yeah, we've got carrots. Today we have carrot, onion, zucchini.
Green beans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you could do green beans. Oh, you know what? Okay, I have something in my mind now. That would be really good. Yeah, green beans could work. I would either do like a canned green bean or maybe pre-cook it a little bit. Maybe steam it in the microwave. Broccoli, I think, would be good if you like broccoli, especially if you would like a stir fry with broccoli. I would cut it very small. And maybe even, again, like steam it in the microwave for a minute. Or if you had a bag of frozen veggies, you could speed this along a lot by just pre-cooking them. If it's one of those cook in the bag frozen veggie things, like cook it maybe a minute or two less than the directions say, drain it out really good, and then kind of fry them up. And then add all your rice on top of that. That would be yummy. All right. So this just needs a couple minutes. Probably I could stand to leave it alone a little bit, but it makes me anxious. I don't know about y'all. All right, I'm gonna chop my egg just a little bit. I'm gonna slice it. There we go. I'm gonna try to be delicate when I add the egg at the end, so you actually get a chunk of egg and it does not just disintegrate into a million teeny tiny crumbles. Okay. So we're going. It's really good. Now, if you didn't love veggies very much and like somebody asked you to make this for dinner or you volunteered or whatever, I'm looking now at the zucchini. You might want to cut it smaller. Anything that you want to hide, like you don't really like it that much, I would always suggest that you cut it tiny. Sometimes big is good, right? So you can pick it out, but if you cut it really small, sometimes you don't notice it so much. All right. These need a couple more minutes. I'm gonna give them a pinch of salt. I like to season as I go, but not a ton because in the end, remember we're gonna put soy sauce in this. That's pretty salty. And then we can season it to taste when we're about to eat it. But a little bit of salt to flavor the veggies. It also, for whatever reason, causes them to release moisture. So they're gonna start like sweating a little bit, putting out a little bit more moisture. Okay. There we go. All right, let me look ahead. So these are sauteing for a couple of minutes, trying to soften up. Then we're going to add, we'll add our garlic. We'll add a little bit more butter. And then we're gonna add the rice, the green onion, the peas, and the liquid seasoning. We'll cook that all together. And then I think we just have to add the egg and we're done. Yep, that's it. All right. In this mixture of veggies, like just kind of by eye, I think the onions look soft. And the reason I can say that and kind of tell is because they're, I guess the word would be translucent, right? They look a little bit, almost like they're more clear. I don't know if that makes sense. Instead of being kind of white and yellow, they turn clear. So I know those are fine, but I still don't think my carrot is ready or my zucchini. And it's just because I haven't really seen a lot of change. So I try to cook by eye a lot. And the more you do it, the more you know what things look like, right? Like what does zucchini look like? It has a slight change of color because it goes from being hard to soft. The carrots don't give very much. The carrots raw and cooked don't look all that different. But you can tell kind of with the texture, if you poke at them. And then of course at home, I would always super encourage you to use a spoon and taste things a bunch, right? So if you want to check if the carrot's done, pick one out and taste it. Unfortunately, with all of our masks at school, it's a little hard to be frequently tasting things. I get one. Still kind of mush in my hand, but I don't think it's quite there. I'll give it another minute or so. All right. Cut my heat back down a little. Feels like it's getting a little warm. And then do a little nub of butter. And as the butter melts, I'll throw my garlic on top of it. There we go. Okay. Smells good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a smidge more butter and then add my rice. I'm going to do half of what I've got left. Actually, I'm going to do it all. A lot of rice. Okay. So I'm going to have that melt. Start throwing my rice on top of it. Remember what I said about this rice? Like, it's super dried out. I mean, it's just like chunks of dried rice. Okay. What I try to do is just break up those chunks. I might should have done that better with my fingers before I put it in there. Right now, like before I put the rice in the pan, it's not considered a ready to eat food. So it's something that you could touch. After this comes out of the pan, it's ready to eat and you need gloves or tongs or utensils. Let's try to get there with my spoon. I got one big chunk. All right, so I've got it in the butter. I'm gonna go ahead and add the peas in. Maybe not that many. And then I'm gonna add my sauces. And although I measured, it doesn't look like that's probably gonna be enough sauce for me. I like it to be like, have a lot of flavor. So I'm probably gonna have to go back in and maybe add a little more soy sauce and oyster sauce to it. Annalisa, you're not allergic to seafood, are you? Okay, good. Yeah. The whole reason that fried rice is brown is because of the sauce you add to it, the soy sauce. It's not typically brown rice, so you can make it with brown rice for sure. Make it a little bit more nutritional. All right, I'm gonna let that cook and pour in a little bit more seasoning. I'm just gonna eyeball at this point. A little bit of soy sauce and a tiny little bit of this oyster sauce, which again is just sweet. Kind of a sugary taste. All right. Looks pretty good. All right, so this is looking good. Just kind of chopping it up with my spatula. I'm gonna leave it alone on the bottom and let it set for a minute. And I'll sprinkle the green onions on the top. And then I'll do the same thing with the egg and fold it all in. All right, get the egg. right. Okay, pretty good. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and kind of fold and try to incorporate the egg and the green onion. You can see there's like a little bit of browning from just letting the rice sit by itself for a minute. Gets a little bit crisper. Good. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let it sit one more time, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick taste. See if we need something else. All right. I think it's pretty good. So that's basically it. It's just finishing the rice and making it to your taste. You can add this. This is in the recipe. It's a sesame oil. Comes in all different containers. It's commonly used in some Chinese cooking. I don't love it. It's very strong. So I typically don't use this, but you could put a little bit of a drizzle on top for just that extra flavor. And then again, if I was making this at home and I wanted some spice, I would use my favorite spice here. But let me see, do I have? Oh yeah. Also, sriracha is great. I mean, if you like, if you like heat, we've got sriracha, which is your kind of all-purpose make things hot seasoning. Do I have anybody who likes this? Has tried it before? No? Anybody out there? Some people put sriracha on like everything. They just love it. Their favorite condiment. So if you like heat, we can try that too. All right. I think I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and stop with the fried rice. I'm happy with it. Okay.
Ms. Crumbliss, I have a question.
Yeah, sure. What's up, Kaylee?
I was looking at the recipe, and for the butter, it says divided. What does that mean?
That means you're going to use a little bit at this point in the recipe and a little bit later in the recipe. So the recipe called for 3 tablespoons of butter divided. And what that means is like, I think the very first thing you have to do is cook the egg with half a tablespoon. Okay, so divided is you use a little bit over here. Now later in the recipe, it says put 1.5 tablespoons, for example, and cook the vegetables. And then put another tablespoon and fry the rice. This means you're going to use it in stages. Great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so for my online students, I'm going to go over your assignment in just a moment. If you guys can take a quick break, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'll get right back to you, and then I'll dismiss you. Okay, so in class, I'm going to plate this up so you guys could try a sample if you'd like to, and then we will do some nice skills today. All right. So give me just a second. Get ready. Yeah, go ahead. Let's see. Would you guys like to try it? Yes, would you? Not today. Would you like to try? Would you like to try? Okay, give her one too. All right. So what I would tell you guys is taste it, and then if you feel like it needs more soy sauce or it needs a little bit of heat, come over and put something on it, okay? So as long as you guys will spread out a little bit, you're welcome to just eat real quickly. And then Hector, if you want, you can go ahead and wash up. And I'm gonna get you a cut glove and we'll set up a station so we can practice on some carrots. You know I have no fingernails to cut that with. There we go. Okay. Here you go. You guys can come grab one. Help yourself, Anaya, Annalisa. Over by the, yep, you got it right there. Okay. You're okay. We're not going to do very much. You're fine. Thank you. All right. So, online students, thank you. I see I missed one thing in the chat. Okay, here we go. All right, you guys. So, can I ask you to go back to Schoology to our page for today? Hang on, let me stop recording real quick.